get right into it. So
Yeah.
I think the thing that most people know y'all for, of which we talked about a little bit beforehand, is a collab that y'all did with Maverick City. So let us know just how the heck did that even happen, man? How did it happen?
You want to share that story?
Yeah, we can share the story. I think we were on our third or fourth month on business. I think we barely had like followers, and I think one night after work, which is I was just I don't know. I just grabbed my phone and I started DMing people. Like I was just DMing like random artists, and one of them was Dante Bowe. And I think it was like 12 a.m. or something.
It's pretty
And I
late.
was just chilling on the couch, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna DM them, and see what's up. Like I was like, I'm not trying to like for them to buy from me. Like I'm just gonna like send them a free shirt or something. I don't know. So I remember I DM him, and I was like, hey, what's up, bro? Like we're a vintage store, and uh, I don't know if you would like a free shirt. And he replied immediately. Like he replied like in 1 minute
That's
or
crazy.
two.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, oh, I can't remember what he said. But he's like, man, I love what I'm seeing, and like, oh, I think you guys are cool. Like right off the bat, like he loved it. And back in the day, like we barely were working on like our website, the aesthetics and like the whole design about like kind of releasing the whole visuals. But then back then, we were already had like a solid idea for our visuals and stuff. And he's like, man, like I love what I'm seeing, blah blah. Yeah, let me check out the website. And then he followed. He followed Common Rags like I don't know, like what 700
Probably had
followers.
like 600-700 followers.
Yeah.
Like, we were
So
2
when
or 3
he
months in.
followed, like it was big for us,
Yeah.
low key.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, then like he actually followed. So that meant a lot to us in a way, because it was like COVID season, and like we barely had sales, but we somehow we pushed through. But let me kind of go back to a little bit before that. So our friend who was helping us out, he moved out. Like he went back to Houston. So he was the visuals, the content creator. So he for us, and then he left home, and he kind of dipped out. Like he's like, I'm out.
COVID,
man.
Be like
everyone
that
has
sometimes,
a
yeah.
lot of
So,
stuff.
but then I think, and this is something like we really believed in. I think when you have a clear vision, like when you have something that you have, like something that you see clearly in your mind,
Yeah.
you push through. I think that's the key. Like the reason why we have this place, the reason why Common Rags is because we had consistency and a vision. I think we dedicated ourselves to like, hey, you know what, like we're gonna go for it. So our friend left, but guess what? We never stopped. So then my brother, he was able to learn Final Cut. Like
Yeah,
you can share
I've
like a
never
little bit
like used like a camera really
Yeah.
until like I guess like the situation just made us like learn new things that we've never really known. And so I bought a camera, pretty average camera, but a camera that could do the job. And so I learned, I had to push myself, just learn those little things, which was cool. Like having such a talented friend who, has done a lot of work in the whole visuals, videography, photos field. And so I was able to grab onto the style that Common Rags already had. There's already a DNA there. And so even though even though like the content was kind of like, all over the place, kind of, there was a feel and there was already a DNA to it. So when you would go on our Instagram, then 4 months in, you already kind of had like the vibe that it had. And so when Dante sees this, it's like, this is sick. I roll with it. And like going back to what he said, like when we were like DMing these people, like it wasn't just like, for their, following or for their success or whatever. It was people that we wanted to connect with through fashion. So we had seen Dante, like he likes to, wear cool stuff, like, like most of us. And so we kind of felt like, man, I think if he could rock some vintage pieces, like he can rock them. Like he loves fashion, and I think vintage is an upcoming fashion trend. And so we just kind of wanted to make that connection, and it just felt right. Like, because you can DM people and all day long, and it's probably gonna stay on the request like forever, and they're not gonna see it. But it just felt right. Like I think that's one of the only times we've ever done that. Like,
Yeah.
hit up people on the DMs, like, hey, like, you want a free shirt? Like, that's not really our style, but it just kind of felt right to do it. I don't know if we were led to doing it, but that happened, and that connection begun. And he was down. He was like, let me order this. And from him came the whole idea of a sponsorship. You know, we're at 700 followers. We don't really have, you know, like, we're an upcoming brand, upcoming business. Like, we don't really have sponsorship programs. And he was like, yo, let's create a sponsorship program where I'm still going to pay you guys, you know, just hook me up with a discount, and I'm going to put you guys on. And we're like, bet, whatever. We were just trying to send you free stuff. And we sent him a bunch of free stuff after too. But he loved it. He loved it. He loved it. And it was just like, we met through Instagram. And it was this like relationship via Instagram that we had. Eventually, I think we end up meeting him in person 3 months later through I think there was a recording here in Dallas that Maverick was a part of, and it was at Upper Room. So we were able to just be there. And when we said, hey, yo, what's up, bro? Like, just met officially for the first time. Like, the whole Maverick City collab happened through relationship with like Dante, like just connecting with him. He did a couple, like 2 or 3 orders, just like vibing with him. And like, he was telling everybody about us, and so everyone kind of hopped on eventually, like a couple of the Maverick artists, singers, and musicians. And it was just kind of like we were a growing relationship with Dante, like getting to know him, and it was really cool. Like, it was really, really like special. And then while that was happening, the whole Maverick collab happened, which is a funny story too. Basically, Maverick City already had heard of us. They were following us through Dante.
They followed.
They were following for like a month. We were like, you know, but you had a couple of already like Christian artists following. Yeah. So it wasn't like out of the blue. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, crazy, I'm freaking out. It was like
for us, it's kind of interesting because I feel like social media is like a different world. You know, like all these people, famous people, influencers, they can follow you, but like, in a way that doesn't mean anything. Right, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, yeah, they can follow you, or they can be like there. But for us, like, whenever all these people were following, we're like, okay, knowing myself, like, I need to be precise, you know, like, I'm not going to be like, oh, then I'm going to be amazed of these people following me, you know? So then after Dante followed, like, all these people followed, and then Maverick City music followed. And it was like, all right, like, I guess, you know, like, okay, it's cool, you know? So
they were following for like about a month.
Yeah.
Like, just a month. They hit us up like 2 a.m. one time.
Yeah, that was funny.
They just sent a DM. They said, yo, let's cook something. Let's collab. Like, something like that. And I'm like, oh, dang, all right. Like, sick, I'm down. And I was like, yeah, let's hop on a call and see what we can come up with. And then of course they like didn't respond. Like, whatever. All right. So then I think there was like a couple more weeks after, we had just had a pop-up in July. We had a pop-up in July, like late July. And that was crazy. It was like around the street at a coffee shop, and it was crazy, like 200 people showing up, and it was just crazy. Like, I've never seen so many people come up for a Common Rags event.
Especially because it was our first in-person event.
Yeah, in-person event.
So we didn't know, like, okay, we done like online like drops and our online community, but like that was kind of like the first event where we were like, okay, there's actual people.
Yeah, and like, we didn't expect like anything. I honestly expected like tops like 50 people, and they were probably gonna get coffee, you know, like. But I was like, dang, this is crazy. I think that's been my favorite pop-up just because of the experience. You know, COVID is happening, and you just get to see so many people like shopping for clothes. It was just really special. And so the next day we did an on Instagram live for those people that weren't able to go to the pop-up, and we were trying to do like an Instagram live sale. And then what's it called? They enter the live. Maverick City enters the live, and they comment. They're like, "Yo, let's collab." Like that.
Yeah, like that.
And then there's a couple of people like on the
so
live.
Me knowing that, again, like me knowing that the social media world is different, I was just like, all right, like he joins and like I'm about to, and then people were going crazy. It's like, oh, then like Maverick City joined, blah blah, and then me like kind of like stir it up. I'm like, yo, let's collab. Like, I mean, what are you gonna? Do you know what I'm saying? So, I say, oh, yo, let's collab, and then Maverick City is like, yeah, I'm down.
Like he was playing, or whoever was running the social at the time was playing along with the game. Yeah. He's like, yo, I'm down. And then
he's like, text me. And he puts his phone number, bro.
On the live.
Oh.
On the live. So then I'm like, okay, this is probably like he's trolling or something, you know, like something's happening here that's like off. You know, you don't. And then people are like, oh, Maverick City, Common Rags collab, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, all right, whatever. Like, I was like, it's too risky. It's too, it's fishy, you know? But of course, I think I took a picture, a screenshot or something of the phone number. We ended the live. We were chilling, and we were not gonna like we kind of forgot about it until like I probably like 2 hours. 2 hours later, we're like, let's just hit up the number and whatever, you know, like let's just find out. But it was actually the founder's phone number, and he was like on the Instagram.
Wow.
And he's like, yo, yes, I'm down. Let's do something. And then it happened like crazy. He's like, we're going to be in Dallas in 2 weeks for a recording.
Oh, I know.
He's like, if you guys can come up with an idea of how to collab, I'm down. Let's do it. And if you guys can make it happen. It was crazy.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
Getting inventory then was hard. So imagine like, okay, a collab with Maverick City, like how, or, you know, but we said yes. And we ended up connecting with his merch department. We talked about some ideas. We came to a conclusion. And in 2 weeks, we had 100 like
50.
high-end, 150 like high-end, like premium vintage garments that we ended up screen printing on the back. Live recording, Dallas, Texas, August 21st, Common Rags. So it was crazy. It was there.
Yeah.
It was a huge pop-up. I think over 700 or 800 people.
Really?
And that's another concept that we were, because we already had the Wayward Coffee pop-up
Experience.
So we already had some type of experience of how to do pop-ups, you know. So then, kind of like brainstorming with the Maverick City people, like we were like, you know what, like I think it would hit if we do a pop-up,
like a pop-up experience,
you know, like and I mean, this is a time where we didn't know each other. Like it's just everything through DMs. Like it can be like a virtual person out on the other side, you know, like
got a robot message.
Yeah, so then we're on the group text, and they don't know us. I mean, we're pretty small at that time. Like, you know, like, okay, how can I trust you? And how can... It was risky, even for them, you know? Like, and then we kind of like put it out there, you know what? Like, we can do a pop-up. So low-key, like, that time, like, we kind of also risk it because we were kind of like, you know what? Like, we'll take care of it. Mm-hmm. Like,
So we planned, like, logistics, visuals, like, everything that was going to be a part of the pop-up experience, Maverick City, Common Rags. Like we created the model of what that pop-up looks like. And it became a thing to where we ended up doing 8 more. How
Yeah,
more?
like
We ended
8.
up doing 8 more. Well, we did a 6-city stop tour with Maverick eventually.
nice.
So it was that like organic model that was created from that 2-week preparation pop up that we had, and there was a model that created that came out of that, which was basically fashion. What was it? Fashion. Well, there was
Hype.
like the hype culture, which we represent a lot. You know what is happening today in like fashion and hype culture, and in worship too. So that was a really unique model where we had like street worship. You know, you can't gather to. You know, it's August. Churches are still with a lot of restrictions, lockdowns. Some churches are not even open, and that's where we created the street worship. We can worship on the street, and so it was just cool seeing like Chandler like walking with a guitar and like singing, and people like outdoors singing, and that was like a really cool concept and model that came out of this, where we ended up doing a tour with them. Going to like 6 cities, and it was just a model that was so organic that ended up, I think to this day they are still doing it. You know, we're not doing it with them anymore, but they are still doing it. And so it's just like cool seeing from a 2-week preparation, and like what, I don't know what it looks like, but it was like the organicness of building that concept and, you know, blessing other people, and being a thing. I think that's like the cool thing. It's a thing now. People are like the pop-ups, you know, like they know exactly what happens there. So that was a really cool experience. You know, we weren't even a year old when all that was happening. I think it was like 7 months into the business, and just kind of like had to have that fast growth. But it was cool. It was special for sure. That season was super. It was a blessing to us for the business. We got to meet a lot of cool people, make a lot of relationships and friendships, and all that good stuff that comes with those events. So that was a cool.
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah,
that was a little cool thing.
I think it's really interesting. One of the things that I was kind of hearing from what you guys were saying, I kept seeing you smile at moments like throughout the story that you guys were sharing. So